So as Andre mentioned from the beginning, NetNode was actually one of the founders of MANRS ISP, and we had a very long discussions whether actually.
Du måste prata in i mikrofonen, inte på den.
Okay. There was a very long discussions whether to use filtering and strict filtering or not during these discussions, and I'm very happy that we actually finally made the decision to actually force the MANRS members to actually filter, because that's the only way we hide in the bar and make sure that both mistakes and malicious intent is protected from this kind of things. So yeah.
Oh, I mean, on that point, right? I mean, there's other IXPs that does not believe to do this dropping, and I mean, I guess this will come to the case where it will essentially be a customer problem here, right? That the customer needs to demand this from the IXP, that we want you to do this. So I think, of course, it is the right choice here to actually block from an IXP perspective. Although there is some old rules in the old book saying that an IXP should always be transparent to what the members are doing. But in this case, I definitely think that this is the right choice to do. And if to get a bit of the ISP perspective on this, I mean, I've joined MANRS many years ago, not many years ago, but in the early days, and also did a lot of the technical due diligence you need to do to be able to do this. And we were quite lucky that for us it was very easy. But I do understand ISPs that have problems with this. But what I do not understand is ISPs that doesn't even want to start this project. Because there's a few of those as well that doesn't want to do this. Of course, there's a few one that actually, you know, that wants to get a certain type of customers. ISPs that they don't want to look in this. They want to make sure that the customers can do whatever they want, including spoofing and stuff like that. Those we can really care about. But for real ISPs with real networks or real customers, I think this is something in the future that should be on tender requirements when you buy new connections, or when you look at which is actually the best ISPs out there when you want to buy new stuff. And looking at routing security, I think is mandatory going forward. And even though that your ISP must not join MANRS, but I think using MANRS practices is the most important part. Oh, can you get a real one? Thank you.
Because we might have questions from the audience as well.
Yeah, this is if it were on, I guess.
Yeah.
Now it's on. Okay. So, and so for the MANRS principles, I think the first one is the hardest one. Especially if you want to do it on a global scale, if you want to do global filtering. I'm doing it right now, and I know that it's a shit job because it requires a great deal of automation to be able to do this. If you're big, the bigger ISPs you run, the bigger problems you're going to have, and typically a lot of that automation is also steered on your lowest performing device. I mean, we had routers blow up. It was like, oh, we forgot about that old router in Chicago. Then we filled it with millions of lines of access lists, and it just burned. We just got shredded, right? So it is not as easy for the ISPs just to flip the switch and now we're secure. It actually requires quite a lot of hard work. But the other ones, I see no excuse in not doing. First, the global validation thing. I think 2019 is going to be a year where we do a lot more of presenting what you have and cleaning up IR records. I actually think that 2019 will even be the year of RPKI validation, which is kind of crazy because that's an idea that we kind of dropped in the bin many years ago, and now we're taking it up again and actually starting to use it. And one of the things that actually spawned this was one of the incidents here that was mentioned in the slide deck was the Amazon route leak, which I can tell you that Amazon was not very happy with. And there's a lot of smaller work groups on the internet, and I'm part of one of them that is trying to bring RPKI actually up again, and Amazon is willing to spend millions of dollars on making this happen if it requires them to give money to someone else to actually make this happen. And making sure that your routing records are up to date and even publish RPKI ROAS, especially here in Europe, is super easy. I know that if you're a US company, it sucks because you essentially need to own a fax to be able to get this. So yeah.
Nej, använd mikrofonen, tack.
Yeah. Yes, so the question is, what is RPKI and what does it do? So essentially it is DNSSEC for BGP announcements, or at least for prefix validation. So it is that you cryptographically sign your inventory, more or less. And here in Europe, it's super easy. RIPE makes this super easy for us. You actually, if you own IP space, or if you're an LIR, you can log into the portal, essentially click 3 buttons, and you're done. And you never have to worry about it as long as you keep your routing announcements intact. Because what we're doing now, there is a lot of global movement in the whole RPKI thing, and there is a lot of erroneous information out there. I think today it's about 6,000 prefixes that is incorrectly registered, and we don't think, or the little working group I'm part of, don't think that any of those is actually malicious. All of those are just people forgot about it. They did this. The last time we did this whole RPKI debate and travel around the world and speak at conferences about how great it is, then everyone did it, and then it changed a lot in 8-10 years. And now we need to go back and actually fix those broken records. And we are getting good help. I think one of the most public ones are Cloudflare at the moment. It's a big security DDoS company. They say that if you're not doing RPKI, you're not going to be able to pair with Cloudflare. And that is great because everyone wants to pair with Cloudflare because it's one of the biggest ISPs on the internet currently. And if they say that either this or go home, then we'll force a lot of ISPs to do this. And it would also force, if you want to sell something to Cloudflare, which I assume everyone wants to do, then you need to do this. Otherwise, they will not buy from you. So this will be, you know, like a lighting a fire inside your pants on a lot of ISPs, and I don't think that Sweden is particularly bad in this. I think Sweden is probably pretty good. But the thing is, we did a lot of this stuff 20 years ago, and most of it is semi-forgotten, or it just happens to be there. It's not, you know, it's not built. What can you say? Automatic, or it's just like someone did it many years ago and I forgot about it. Now we need to redo it again and make sure it is up to speed. I will spend a lot of time 2019 talk about this. I will pester these guys' conference, I will pester my own conference, and I will go to many other conferences and stand and talk about this. And if anyone has any questions about this, I'm happy to answer anything regarding this. And if you own IP space today, I think that it is very responsible to first do your own diligence, making sure that you have correct routing registers and have correct information inside those. Like who is actually responsible for this, and also talk with your ISP and make sure that this gets done. And
so my question is then: is it the customer of the ISP that should talk to the ISP, or will you, as Swedish Operators Forum, talk to the ISP?
Well,
what
it's
will
both.
Be the most effective one?
Both, yeah. I mean, I'm also chairman of the Swedish Operator Forum. We will, of course, talk a lot internally about this. There will be a workshop during. We haven't set the date yet, but somewhere around Lucia. We'll try to actually lift a lot of stones to see what's actually happening. But I think it should be both, right? I mean, we need it from the top. We also need it from the bottom up. Because if these requirements is not in tenders, you don't talk to your sales guys about this, then it's hard for the engineering department to also get time and money to actually be able to do this stuff. Because this takes a lot of time. And I think most of the engineering community, most of the engineers actually agrees to everything here. But if you're stuck in Excel all day because your boss tells you to, then that's what it is, right?
So this is not so much a question on technical fairness, or like it's just a resource allocation thing, a priority thing. That's what
I would say so.
Yeah.
Of course. I mean, if you have really old routers, then yeah, point number one there will be hard. I mean, maybe even impossible. But then it might be time to buy new routers.
Okay. Okay, we can come back to this a little bit. We have a hard stop at 3.
Yes.
But here's for you. And what we have done, just to explain to people what these small secret packages are, what we have done is that we donated money to...
the Vegan Society, no?
To Läkarmissionen. So in the name of each one of the speakers. Yeah, not to the Vegan Society.
Yeah, that's okay.
There you are.
Thank you. Do you want this? No?
I already have one.
Can I keep it?
I don't think so.